Okay, we're good? Yisrael, we're good? Okay, thank you. All right, we're live. Okay. Baruch Hashem. This is our first event in the new SoulWords House. Literally, you may even hear some, there's our contractor, Shia Cohn, standing in the back. And he, you can come up here. You want to make a little, want to have your moment of fame? Just get on camera for a second. Just right here, get next to me. Get next to me. Okay, you can do a little advertiser. Well, universal contract. Go ahead. Say your thing.
My thing? Just look at the place.
Okay, you're right. The work speaks for itself. And your wife, Maria, was the designer who made everything perfect. Yeah. So they were the dynamic duo. We had a contractor and interior designer who would stay up and sit over tea and talk about nothing but my project. So that was to my advantage, Baruch Hashem, and it worked out beautifully. Yisrael, can you get a wide shot and try to show a little bit of the house? A little bit? You don't really see. Maybe pan it around a little bit so people get some type of a feel. Okay, now we want to mention that, oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay, all right. You're getting a little bit of a, does the glass reflect? Yeah, the glass reflects. We'll keep that in mind, not to shoot in front of that. Okay. So this is the main event space. Downstairs in the basement is our offices, SoulWords offices, and state-of-the-art podcast facility. Yeah, a fully dedicated video production facility instead of the current SoulWords studios, which is in half of my garage in Cedarhurst, which you don't realize when you watch it on video, but that's what it is. And God willing, that'll be up and running soon as well. Want to hear something very cool about the house is that Shia can attest to the fact we custom made the bookshelf, right, Shia? Are you still here? Did you run away? We've custom made the bookshelf, right? That's custom. That's not IKEA. Custom. Custom design. In fact, it was only installed yesterday, right?
Still needs touch-ups.
It still needs some touch-ups. And when we finished installing it, I took a set of igros, a perfect fit, like the luchais in the Aron, exactly a fit. You see, except I took out Helig Dalid because that's what we're going to be learning from tonight. But exactly the complete set of igros. Yeah, you can. Okay, you got it. Yeah. All right. Pearson. Okay, that's a photographer's floating over there. So Baruch Hashem, a perfect. Get the set of igros there. Okay. A perfect set of igros fitting on the shelf of the custom-made bookshelf that was not planned. That was hashgacha pratis. Now, you may have seen a young lady handing out raffle tickets as you entered. And you were wondering, why am I getting a raffle ticket? We are raffling off. Does everyone know the raffle tonight? Yeah. Yes? A set of igros, a complete set of igros. Please make sure you have space in your car. It is 2 boxes. It's a full set of 30 volumes. And we'll raffle it off. So everyone who's here in attendance, by the way, Yisrael, could you get the wide shot so they can see this cool thing here? Because this is part of the fun. You see it? Oh, yeah, you can see it. Okay. So what? I'm just mixing it. Okay, I'm just mixing it. So if you are here tonight, you should have gotten a raffle ticket. If you did not get one, please ask for one. But if you did get one and you asked for one, then you're actually getting 2. And as you could figure out for yourself, that would not be fair. So everyone, 1 man, 1 vote. Everybody is entered, or 1 woman, 1 raffle ticket. Everyone is entered into the raffle at one time. In the end, we will draw to see who Ach Begedol Yechalek Esaaretz, who Hashgacha Pratis has chosen to receive a complete set of igros. Okay. If you've been watching every night online, you probably know by now you're habituated to the ritual that about this time, what do I usually do? What? Tzedakah. Yeah, it's tzedakah. Very good. So what I did this time is I got the real, I just decided because it's real, there's real people here. I know there are people watching on YouTube. For the people watching on YouTube, it's no different. Your experience is essentially the same as if I were in my home studio. But for the people who are here, the Knanhara 40, 50 people who are here, on an Erev Pesach, a group of women, Erev Pesach, which, by the way, that is the definition of Shtus de Kedusha, we have a real pushka, the real, so we're doing the fake. I can also do the, should I do it because it's part of our ritual now? Okay. And I have to remember to turn on the sound. Okay. And it's asking me to update the app, which I don't want to do right now. See that? That's the, see that? Okay. And I'll do it right into the mic. Oh, it wasn't loud enough. You heard it, but I want to turn up the, why is it so quiet? Oh, here. Okay, but that's real. Okay, and let's. I hope I have small bills. I wasn't planning ahead. It's 100. Don't look at it. Okay. Okay. All right. At any rate, okay. So we're going to learn the 30th letter, 30 letters in 30 days. I made a bracha earlier. You know who I learned that from, to say I made a bracha earlier? Josh Gordon, Alav Shalom. He always says I made a bracha earlier. Yeah, so it's chinuch. Yeah, Rabbi Gordon. Okay. We're learning the 30th letter, and we have, because this is real physical space. Again, for the people watching online, it's really not too different for you than any other night. But for the people who made it here in person, look at this. We have, this is Dira B'Tachtonim. We have physical paper, actual paper, okay? And by the way, the PDFs, we want to thank Racheli Edelkop from Pedal Marketing, who was involved in getting together the PDFs for us day after day after day after day. Any errors in the PDFs are actually my fault, not her fault. She just used what I gave her and made it appear on my phone, ready to upload in time every single night for 30 nights. There are a lot of errors here. I just should mention, Levi Shem Tov told me not to mention him, so I'm not going to. But about 3 days before Yud Aleph Adar, we were talking about the fact that we did 30 letters in 30 days for 2 years. We did it 3 years ago and 2 years ago, and then we didn't do it a year ago because it's just too much work. And it was 3 days before what would be 30 days before Yud Aleph Nissan, and we were talking about should we try to do it again this year, and we just didn't have the support, we didn't have the staff that we needed. And I said, you know what, let's see what ChatGPT can do or what Grok can do. And I want to tell you something, I mean, there's no shame in it, I'm going to admit to you. There's a lot of errors in these PDFs. The Nekudes have, like tonight's a Yiddish letter, it's so much worse with Nekudes than without, but okay. But we would not have been able to pull this off without artificial intelligence. Like we couldn't do this last year. A year ago, we couldn't do this. We did not have the tools. The tools did not exist. So that's Dira B'Tachtonim as well. A year ago, the physical tools, the technology did not exist to be able to pull this off with the small team that we had. And then Baruch Hashem, so in addition to Levi and I, also we were joined by Zalman Bendit, who was incredibly instrumental in choosing letters, preparing and refining the English translation, and just being a sounding board, and really rounding off our team in a really special way, as well as another Levi Shem Tov, not the original Levi Shem Tov, but by the way, in my phone, I think I have 10 Levi Shem Tovs, by the way. That's the most common name in my phone. But Levi Ben Kasriel from West Bloomfield was also part of the team, and an incredible asset to the project. Okay, we're going to learn the letter tonight. Let's do it like we normally do. Like I told you, the Nakudes are terrible, so I'm reading from an actual Igros, first of all, for the, Dira B'Tachtenim element of it, the physicality, a nice hefty sefer, and the authenticity, but also because I'm going to get messed up if I read from these Nakudes here. Okay, so Baruch Hashem, this is Chelik Dalid of the Igros. Letter Tuf Kuf Ayin Zayin, that's 977. Baruch Hashem, Yud Aleph Nissan Tafshin Yud Aleph, Brooklyn, Baruch V'Shalom. Okay, so what's special about this letter? It's Yud Aleph Nissan, well, it's written to a woman, that's correct. How do you know it's written to a woman? Brachas first, before Shalom, very good. Did you learn that from our shir? Or, okay, I'm proud, all right. All right, it is written to a woman. It was also, I could tell so far, it was written in Brooklyn. It was written on what date? The Rebbe's birthday. Right. So actually, this letter was written on Yud Aleph Nissan on the Rebbe's birthday. And what year? Tafshin Yud Aleph, meaning to say, the first year of the Nisias. So the Rebbe was Makabel the Nisias, the Rebbe accepted leadership, Yud Shvat Tafshin Yud Aleph, the first yard site of the thirtieth Rebbe. The thirtieth Rebbe's Histalkus was Yud Shvat Tafshin Yud. So this is a year later, Yud Shvat Tafshin Yud Aleph. And then a couple of months later is the Rebbe's birthday. How old did the Rebbe turn that year? 49. 49, yeah. The Rebbe was 48 when it was Makabel the Nisias. It was 49, turned 49. There was no Fabrengen, not that we know of, not any public Sicha or anything like that. But the Rebbe went to the oil. It was a Tuesday. The Rebbe went to the oil, and right now I have this tagline. I'm going to try it out on you, but I call the SoulWords House, I've been playing around with this tagline, half a block away from just a few blocks away. Do you get the reference? There's a story after Yud Shvat, a chassid asked the Rebbe, could he go to the oil, meaning to the Frierdiker Rebbe's oil, on Chol Hamoed? Because you're not supposed to go to a cemetery in Chol Hamoed. So the Rebbe said to him, if you're asking whether or not you're allowed to visit a cemetery in Chol Hamoed on the intermediate days of the festival, I'm afraid you already know the answer, which is we don't do that. However, if what you're asking is, you would like to have Yechidus with my father-in-law just like you did right here, meaning in 770 where they were standing and talking, and the only difference is it will take place a few blocks away, meaning to say from 770 to the oil, just a few blocks away. And it's the same experience. You're talking to a chassid who had Yechidus with the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe is saying, same experience, it's Yechidus, just happening, just a venue change, that's it. So the Rebbe referred to the oil as a few blocks away. So now we're a half a block away from a few blocks away. Did you see the picture when you walked in, by the way? No. Okay, well, I don't want to disturb the whole crowd, make your whole row stand up for you to get out and go see it. But if you want to go see it, you could go see it right now. There's a picture of the Rebbe at the oil, and in the background, if you look carefully, you can see the street. No, not that picture. That picture is the Rebbe in front of 770. On the other side of the wall, when you first enter the SoulWords House, the picture of the Rebbe is the Rebbe at the oil, and in the background, you can see the corner of Francis Lewis Boulevard and 228th Street. Meaning you can see the corner of the block that we're on. Wow. So it just reminds you, we are in the epicenter, which is when people ask, why is the SoulWords House at the oil? Why? Because I would say second only to, or perhaps along with, or in some respects more so than the Kaisel, the oil is the epicenter of Jewry. You'll find all Jews of all walks of life at all times, and this is a focal point for the whole universe. So we're here. We're in the hub of it. At any rate, so it was Tuesday, Yud Aleph Nissan, the Rebbe's 49th birthday, first birthday after the Rebbe officially accepted leadership, and the Rebbe went to the oil. And on his way to the aisle, or before the Rebbe went to the aisle, the Rebbe transmitted a message through one of his secretaries. It was actually labeled Groner, Halav Shalom. And he came out and he said, he's conveying in the name of the Rebbe, that the Rebbe says that anybody who wants to devote himself without asking questions, who's ready to be committed, should sign his name and his mother's name. Meaning to say the Rebbe was asking for a ksav hiskashrus, which is a formal documentation or declaration that a chassid writes to a Rebbe that states his intention to be mukusher, to be connected to the Rebbe. And whereas people had written a ksav hiskashrus already, many even before Yud Shvat Tavshin Yud Aleph, the Rebbe basically asked for a new ksav hiskashrus. And the Bachram immediately signed and turned in their paper with their names and their mother's names. And we should just mention also that tonight we'll be signing a pan klali, or a duch, a report for all those who attended tonight, all those who are crazy enough on Erev Pesach to attend this event. So you'll sign up. A paper will go around. I'm not sure if it's going around or we'll have it available after this year, but and then afterwards, we're half a block away from just a few blocks away. So either one of us will be the shlucha to bring the pan into the aisle, or we can all go, or it's right there. I mean, we're right here. Yeah. So the Rebbe said regarding this request or invitation for a new ksav hiskashrus that I believe the lashon in Yiddish was, das ist eine ernste Sache, nicht kein Gelächter. This is a serious matter, not a joke. And then the Rebbe gave a sort of disclaimer, clarification, but it doesn't mean la'alis hashamayma. It does not mean that you have to climb up into heaven. Meaning to say, I'm not asking anything impossible or unreasonable, but I am making a serious request that you devote yourself to whatever it is that's going to be asked of you. So, and the Rebbe repeated it after the Rebbe received the names to remind the Bachram that this is a serious matter. Okay, so that happened on the day that this letter was written. This letter that we're learning tonight. Baruch v'shalom, as you said, it's written to a woman. What do I know about this woman? I read the letter already. I know she has a family. I know she's concerned about one of her family members, it seems. I don't know a whole lot more about her. Ich hab bekommen eure Brief. I received your letter. Einer von Chavdalet Adar Beis und der zweiter ohne Datum. One letter was from Chavdalet Adar Beis, and the other one was undated. Leut eire Bekasha hab ich seindig offenziehen von Kved Kedushes Meir v'chami Admor Zecher Tzadik v'Kadish Levracha L'chai Oilam Haba Nishmase Begin Zemirayimim Schus HaYagan Aleinu Mazke Geven L'Toiva L'Cholam Etz Tarich. In accordance with your request, when I was at the Frierdiker Rebbe's aisle, I mentioned, doesn't say you, but I mentioned all those who are in need, meaning the names that she submitted in her letter. Bitte schreibt mir sein Mutteres Namen. Please write to me his mother's name. Who is he? I don't know. It seems this is somebody who has a health issue. It seems from the context. It would seem to also be a relative. I'm going to use my Sherlock Holmes power of deduction, and I'm going to rule out that it is not her son. How did I figure that out?
She would know her name.
Right. Because the Rebbe said, please write this person's mother's name. It's a male person. Zayin means his. So please write his mother's name. So maybe it's her husband. Could be her husband. Bichlal, Tamer verhalt sich einmal mein Entfer. Sometimes my answer is delayed. meint das nur, als der Entfer hat sich verspätigt. It just means that the answer is late. Aber die Bakosha bin ich memale bahakdim of shari. But the request I fulfill at the first possible opportunity. Das Schreiben aber hängt ab von die Vieltierdeis welche beschränken mein Zeit. The writing, however, putting it into writing, that is subject to the limitations of my time. It's an incredible thing that Rebbe just said, which is that if you write to me, you should know, even if the answer is delayed, I took care of it. I immediately take care of it. I might not write back immediately, but I take care of it immediately, which is an incredible concept. And the Rebbe didn't say for you. The Rebbe just said, in general, this is how it works over here. And by the way, I was curious when I saw the Rebbe basically, I don't know if the word is apologize, but addressed the fact that his response was late or delayed. How late was it? Can you do the math? 2.5 weeks, I think. It was nothing. Her letter was Chof Daled Adar Beis, and the Rebbe is writing back on Yud Aleph Nissan. So you're talking about 2.5 weeks. It's not a big delay. And by the way, she wrote it Chof Daled Adar. It doesn't mean it arrived to the Rebbe that day. Okay, so it was pretty quick, and the Rebbe is still addressing the fact that it wasn't as quick as maybe it could be. But the fulfillment of the request happens immediately. That's just an amazing thing. And I also want to just comment on the fact that not only does the Rebbe say that he takes care of the requests immediately, even if the answers in writing come later, but let's just contemplate the fact for a second that the Rebbe is writing this on his personal Rosh Hashanah, on a very, very busy day, on his birthday. Now, we know that a birthday is a special day. We know it from the Hayom Yom of Yud Aleph Nissan, which is the Rebbe's Sefer. And it says that on a birthday, it's a one-liner. I mean, it's maybe 2 lines in the Hayom Yom, but it's a short, like one sentence. Al Adam Lisbaidid, a person should isolate himself, seclude himself, and recall memories and think about his past and his life and what needs to be rectified. That's it. It's a one-liner, basically. You know that all of the entries of Hayom Yom is the Rebbe took them from the Frierdiker Rebbe's writings. Yes? Correct? Everyone knows that? That's actually encoded in the title of Hayom Yom, which is, if you look at it visually, it's easier to understand it, but Yom Yom is Yud Vav Mem, Yud Vav Mem. So it's Yud Yud, which is the Frierdiker Rebbe's name, and Mem Mem, which is the Rebbe's name, with the Vav HaChiber, with the Vav in between. So it's Yud Yud and Mem Mem, meaning it's the Rebbe's Sefer, but it's all the Frierdiker Rebbe's material, and the Rebbe arranged it. So where did the Rebbe get this Ala Adam Lisbaidid, these birthday instructions? So the Rebbe put it on Yud Aleph Nissan, which is the Rebbe's birthday, but it's originally from a letter of the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's from a letter. So the original letter is actually from not the Frierdiker Rebbe's birthday, but interestingly enough, like a week after the Frierdiker Rebbe's birthday, and the year is Tov Shin. You know what Tov Shin is? Aside from my name? Yeah, Shin Tov is my name, my first name. So I was like, Sefer is my mother, Tov Shin. Tov Shin is the year that the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America. Tes Adar Tov Shin. So the Frierdiker Rebbe's first American birthday, his first birthday after bringing Lubavitch to the real Dirab Tachtoin, the Chatzikadra Tachtoin, the lower hemisphere. So the Frierdiker Rebbe writes to someone and says, I received your letter. It was a week after the Frierdiker Rebbe's birthday, Yud Beis Tammuz. I received your letter on my birthday, and I was looking at your letter on my birthday, and I was remembering when you came to Lubavitch. Apparently, this person that the Frierdiker Rebbe was writing to had learned. He was a Tomim. He'd learned in Lubavitch. He had some connection to the Rebbe Rashab, and so the Frierdiker Rebbe was saying, and I remember when you came to Lubavitch, and I remember your connection with my father, and it's interesting. So the Frierdiker Rebbe says this lashon of, I was sitting and doing my hisbaididus, ala adam hisbaidid, it's a time to be alone, and I was reading your letter, and I was remembering when we met, and I was remembering our old experiences in Lubavitch. And so that's where the original line is from. It's from that letter of the Frierdiker Rebbe to this chassid. And then the Rebbe takes it out and puts it as the entry for his birthday, Hayemim. But what's interesting to me is there's a little bit of a contradiction here, which is lihisbaidid, I don't want to translate it as to isolate, because I think that has inherently negative connotations, but to seclude oneself. Lihisbaidid means be by yourself. And what is the Frierdiker Rebbe doing? He's reading someone's letter and thinking about that person. And like, hold on, is this introspection or is this thinking about your friends? And what is the Rebbe doing here in this letter that we're learning right now? It's Yud Aleph Nissan, it's the day of the Rebbe's Hisbaididus, and he's answering mail. By the way, this is not the only letter in the Igros. I mean, there may be other letters that Rebbe wrote also on Yud Aleph Nissan, Tafshin Yud Aleph, but there's at least, I think I counted 4 or 5. So I'll tell you something interesting. You may have heard that, hey guys, it's a small house. We can hear you over here in the main room. Okay. If you go inside the kitchen and close the door, we probably won't be able to hear you. Okay. We're just learning how to use this house. It's a new experience. Okay. By the way, did everyone see this, the sign on the kitchen door?
No.
It says kitchen staff only. Very serious. My son Yisrael was the one who basically set up the kitchen and insisted on the industrial kitchen. And this is not a big eating event, but God willing, at some point we'll have a fully catered event, and you'll see that he was right to put in the heavy-duty kitchen. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Selling this whole place for Pesach, by the way, JFYI. So, yeah. Yeah, no, enjoy the rogalach that my daughters made, because I'm going to sell the place for Pesach. Okay, at any rate, so think about this. This is the Rebbe's birthday. The Rebbe says a birthday is a time to be misbaided, to seclude yourself. And yet the Rebbe is answering mail. And if you think about also, especially in the later years, how the Rebbe spent his birthday fabrengens and giving out tanyas, like, is that seclusion? Or is that, I mean, I can tell you as a painfully introverted person, to me, I would definitely count that as social interaction. That would be, I would definitely say I've done my social interaction for the month, right? So then what's pshat? Like, how do we understand this? And I'll tell you something, the Rebbe once received a phone call from the President of the United States on his birthday. It was President Carter. And the Rebbe didn't take the call. And the Rebbe said, but it wasn't a slight. It wasn't, the Rebbe told the secretaries to tell the President that on one's birthday, it's a time for it to be alone, to be by yourself. And the Rebbe would not say it as a blow-off type of thing. The Rebbe meant it. It was 100% emes. Birthday is a time for introspection and seclusion and being with yourself. So I can't talk to the president. I mean, that's like pretty much the definition of like the most important phone call, right? Who's the most important? The president. I'm sorry, but this is not a day for phone calls, not a day for communication, not a day for interaction. This is a day for self. So why is the Rebbe answering mail? Why is the Rebbe, and he's following in the Frierdiker Rebbe's footsteps, who says to this chassid, which is the source for the original source for the Hayemim entry, that I was reading your mail and thinking about you on my birthday. And then Baba Shah, like at the very same moment, the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying, Al Adam Lisbaited. Do you not see the inherent contradiction? Are you being misbaited or not? And yet, if you understand what is a neshama klalis, a neshama klalis literally means an aggregate soul or a general soul. It means a neshama that's connected to all Jews. or the concept of a Rebbe being Rosh B'nai Yisrael, the head of the Jewish people. So the Jewish people are a body, a single organism, one entity, a living being. And the Rebbe, like it says in Perek Beis of Tanya, I should have asked you which Perek of Tanya. You would have known, right? Like, it's one of my, I have 2 Tanya students here. You're in the corner.
3.
So we have 3 of the 5 Towns Monday. We're putting a little advertisement for the 5 Towns Monday Tanya Shir. Which chapter are we starting after Pesach? Chapter 18? Starting 18, yeah, okay. So like it says in chapter 2 of Tanya, the idea of a Rebbe is the head, and we're all parts of a body, different limbs and organs of one body. But the Rebbe is not a separate person from us. First of all, Mitzad Achdas Yisrael, the oneness of the Jewish people, none of us are really separate from each other. But a Rebbe is an individual within whom the entire Jewish people find their true selves. One of my favorite Yechidus stories is Freddie Hager, Ephraim Hager, Olav Shalom. When he was, I think, 23 years old, he was not from a Lubavitch background, and he came to Yechidus his first time, 3 a.m. Yechidus. He comes out and he says, I was totally ill-prepared for Yechidus. I didn't understand what it was. I went in thinking that I was going to meet a great man, and I left realizing that I had just met my true self. I just met my true self, because that is his kashrus. His kashrus is when you find yourself, your true self, your yechidah, yechidus, lashon yechida, the core essence of who you are in your relationship with the neshama klalos. So, for a Rebbe to be by himself means to be with Klal Yisrael. So, for a Rebbe to think about different Chassidim, different Jews, different people who have reached out to him, that is his Baididus. Now, if it's the president, that's a different matter, because that's outside of this entity called Klal Yisrael. So then it's a very important person, and I'll have to talk to you some other day, because today is a day just to be by myself. But if you're talking about a Yid, so then that is being by myself. So the Rebbe is answering mail to this woman. I don't know who she was. Not a famous person, probably not. She's not writing about what we would call earth-shattering major issues. She's writing about her personal issues. But for the Rebbe, that is his personal life. His personal life is this Jewish woman's personal life. So the Rebbe says, even if you don't get answered right away, I take care of the requests immediately. The writing part is what takes longer. You frag wegen a segula. You ask about a segula. How are you going to translate a segula? How do they translate it here in the spiritual remedy? You ask about a segula. Some people are very into segulas. So the Rebbe says you ask about a segula. And it seems that it's for this same person that the Rebbe is asking this woman to get me his mother's name, this person that she's concerned for. So the Rebbe says, you ask about a segula. Is bechlal nit mein derech zu geben segulas. It's not my thing to give segulas. Aber, wie in jeder jüdische Haus, darf man beidig sein die Mezuzahs und sehen, als der Betreffender soll jeden Tag sagen Tillim. But this is not a segula, but I'll tell you something you can do, which will be helpful, is like in any Jewish house, make sure to check the mezuzahs. By the way, we just got the mezuzahs up here like 2 hours before you came. Baruch Hashem. Okay. To make sure that the mezuzahs are checked, and also that the person that we're talking about here, the person who's having this issue, that he should say Tillim every day. Okay? Sicher seid ihr gerecht, was ihr schreibt in Brief. You are certainly correct, what you write in the letter. As men hat schon gelitten genug Zares, that we have endured already enough pain. Und es ist schon Zeit, as jeder soll geholfen werden in alles, was nötigt sich. And it's already high time that everyone should just be helped already in everything that is important to them, everything they need. Befrat, bebrias and nechuna, especially good health. Ich hoffe, as ihr werdet mir kennen, ansagen gute Besuches in them, and I hope that you'll be able to report good news in this matter. So the woman expressed some type of a sentiment of, you know what, we've had enough problems already. It's time to put the problems behind us. We should have good things, and especially health. And the Rebbe is saying, you know, I agree with you. Now, it could be, I don't know how this woman meant it, that she was talking about her family. Or she could have meant Klal Yisrael. But in the Rebbe's answer, the Rebbe for sure means Klal Yisrael, meaning collectively, we, the Jewish people, have had enough problems. We don't need any more problems. Time to move on, and only good times from now on. Die Bemerkung, was ich will da machen is. Now, the comment that I want to make here. Gott, ich bin nicht in ganzen sicher, ob sie ist vollständig zugepasst zu dem Fall. Although I'm not 100% sure that it's appropriate to this situation. The Rebbe says, I want to make a comment. I don't know for sure that it is relevant here to the present conversation, but I want to share it with you. Bechlal hängt der Sicherheitsgefühl bei einem Menschen in viel Fallen ab an a Sach, was is äußerhalb ihm und hecher von ihm. A person's feeling of certainty, of security, in most cases depends on something that is beyond him and higher than him. Einfacher gesagt, von sein Gefühl von Amunah und Betochen in beide Eilam. Bechlal und beide Eilam kotten sei Odem befragt. More simply stated, a person's feeling of security is based on, the Rebbe said it in general terms, on their dependence on something greater than them, beyond them, but the Rebbe spells it out, on their feeling of Amunah and Betochen in Hashem, who is the creator of the macrocosm and the microcosm. Let's unpack that for a second. It's a very interesting phrase. So a person's security, meaning their feeling of being all right, largely depends on something beyond them. And specifically, what are we talking about? We're talking about their emunah and betochen in the Beira Elam Bechlal und Beira Elam Kotten Zal Odem Befrat. Beira Elam Bechlal means Hashem as He is the creator of the universe. Beira Elam Kotten Zeha Odem means Hashem as He is the creator of your personal, private universe. Which is a very interesting concept that, you know, there's an idea that a person is a small world and the world is a big person. So when we think of Hashem as the Borei Olam, the creator of the world, we mean that, yes, in the awe-inspiring sense of the one who moves the planets and all that grandiose stuff, but we also mean the creator of our personal universe, your life story, all the things that you've been through, like your autobiography. That didn't just happen. Hashem is the creator of that world that is your story. So a person's feeling of security, and the Rebbe is speaking about emotional security here. Your feeling of being all right, being okay, is dependent on your feelings of faith and trust in Hashem as the creator of the universe at large and also as the creator of your specific personal story. Noch die Größe Auftreißelnischen von unser Deur, welche haben voneinander getreißelt, verschiedene geistige Jesuides und abgerissen viel Menschen von tief eingewurzelte Messias, Mishpacha va'am. Wow. A lot of real Yiddish there. After the upheavals This is 1951. So we're talking about World War II, the Holocaust. After the upheavals of our generation, which upended, which shook various spiritual foundations and tore away people from deeply rooted family traditions and national traditions. So there was this tumultuous crisis in our generation, and it had the effect of shaking certain spiritual foundations, tearing people away from their traditions, both family traditions and the Jewish people's traditions. Hat das gewirkt auf a Sach Menschen. It affected a lot of people. So the Rebbe is now describing a common condition of that time, of that era. As a durchsichreis, as a hängen ba'avir. They feel like they're hanging in the air. They don't have firm footing. They don't feel solid. They don't feel embodied. They feel like life is on hold. Like someone hit the pause button. I don't know, I'm just giving you different synonyms for this. Which we could understand after something so traumatizing on such a grand scale, and people were destabilized in a very deep way. And they feel like they're just sort of floating. Das meine ich afilu di maiminim shebehem. And I'm talking about even the believers, the frum people, the people who believe in God. The Rebbe describes it. As bei sei is die Amunah geworden a Sach, was is nicht verbunden mit sehr praktischen Leben. For them, Amunah became something that's not connected to their practical life. It's a religious thing. The Rebbe says, mitrach wegen deruf, you think about Amunah, sure. And for sure you say Shema Yisrael, and you say Meida Ani, of Take Euch mit dem Pirush Hamilas. In fact, maybe even you think about what the words mean when you say Shema, sure. Und doch geht man a ganzen Tag rum mit dem Gedank as mir allein. And then you go through your whole day feeling alone. Und jeder zit die Maskonis derfun lefi tivai v'ta'aluchais nafshay. And everyone from there draws whatever conclusion is fitting his personality. In other words, how does that make you feel that you're going through life completely isolated and alone? I don't know, like depending on your personality, you'll take that to some conclusion or another, but it's necessarily not an inspiring thought to have. So the Rebbe is saying, we have people who are frum, they say Shema every day, and they think about what it means, and they believe in an abstract way. But when it comes to their practical day-to-day life, they're going through life and they feel like they're alone. They don't feel that God is with them. They're not feeling that palpable presence. They feel alone. They feel disconnected. They feel isolated, which is, I mean, it's hard for me to not think about the fact that the Rebbe, on his day of his Beidadus, is reaching out to other Yidden. The Rebbe, there's a Hayemim that says that before Chassidus, the teacher was lonely and the students were lonely. But after Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe accomplished the Chassidim sind nicht elend and the Rebbe is nicht elend. The Chassidim are not alone, the Rebbe is not alone. So the Rebbe is describing, it's so interesting that like what happened from this crisis of faith. Because as a religious leader, you could just say, well, it's very sad. People are not religious anymore. A lot of people stopped being religious. Or they lost their religious conviction. The Rebbe is going so much deeper than that. He's saying, no, people are in pain. People are destabilized emotionally. They don't feel grounded, and they go through their day-to-day life, even though they believe in God, and they feel terribly alone. So remember how the Rebbe started this paragraph. He says, I don't know if this applies. I'm not 100% sure this applies. Now, if anyone knows if it applies or not, the Rebbe knows. But it's interesting. The Rebbe is saying, I don't know if it applies, but let me just, the Rebbe does go ahead and say it. Okay, so the Rebbe describes this situation of people going through life feeling disconnected, feeling alone. Kedei zurückbringen die Menschen zu sehr, oh, this is an interesting word. I had to actually look it up. Yeah. Gleichgewicht means balance. How do they translate it there? Equilibrium. Okay, that's even fancier. Okay. To bring people back to their balance. It's interesting. They're hanging in the air. They need to be brought back to their balance. You're talking about people who are feeling off kilter. They're feeling like emotional vertigo almost.
And it's suggesting that people had it once. They once had this sense of groundedness.
Right, yeah, something happened to them. Correct. Something happened. They didn't always feel like this. Something happened collectively, and it destabilized them. It shocked them, and they lost that firm footing. Yes, yes. Is der erste Weg, als man soll bei sie megale sein, die Messias Mishpacha und Messias Aves, was es jetzt euch behalten bei sie in der Neshama. The most realistic way, the most realistic approach here is to reveal in them the traditions of their family and of their ancestors, which even right now is hidden in their soul. Meaning to say, it's interesting, they seem like they've lost something, but the truth is, what they need is within them right now. They didn't lose it. They lost touch with it. They lost their awareness of it. Maybe they lost access to it, but it's right there. It's in them. Zij willen doch der zijn, als een mens is niet elend. And they need to see that a person's not alone. Like, this is the bottom line, what the Rebbe is saying. Like, you're not alone. Und noch mehr. Als der Mensch ist der Balabos von sein Gürtel, nur bis a bestimmte Maß. And another thing to know. A person is the Balabos, the controller in charge of his fate, only to a very limited degree. Und der Iker, but the main part of his life, hängt Gott ab von dem Eibishten, is dependent totally on God. So you should know, you're not really as in charge of your life as you think you are. Now, you'll see why the Rebbe says that. Again, this letter is very emotional. It's very, yes, it's speaking about spiritual concepts, but it's talking about the emotional applications of those spiritual concepts. B'meila darf nit. So if you understand that there's very little of your life that you're actually in control of, you learn Tanya, so you're in control of your machshava dibur ma'aseh. That's it. Other than that, hakol bidei shamayim chutz mi yireh shamayim. You can control your own yireh shamayim. Everything else, bidei shamayim. Hashem runs the show. So if you'll know that, what's the emotional takeaway? If you'll know that, b'meila darf nit schleppen out of seine eigene places. You don't have to put everything on your own shoulders. I don't know if the woman said anything to imply that she was feeling burdened with certain responsibilities, but like the Rebbe says, I don't know if it applies. I don't know if this is your situation, but let me just float this out there. You control so little of what's going on in your life. That's just the reality. Hashem is in charge. So listen, please stop taking it on your shoulders. Feeling a gewaltige achrayes for alts. Feeling this terrible responsibility for everything. Und wer redt noch zu haben ein Gefühl von Jusch zu bestimmte Sachen oder bestimmte Zustanden? And to even go as far as to feel despair about certain things and certain situations. Because the person feels like they should be able to control it. And they've been trying to control it. And they haven't been able to control it. And they feel like it's their fault. And they're internalizing this self-blame. And the Rebbe is saying, stop blaming yourself. You're not in control of any of that stuff. It does not belong on your shoulders. Stop making up these responsibilities, which is so interesting because I don't think there's anyone in history, literally from other Mauritian, in history there's no one who highlighted the personal responsibilities of every individual he met more than the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And yet, here the Rebbe says, will you stop making up things that you're not responsible for? Will you stop torturing yourself with these things that you cannot control? B'shas mefarbint die Menschen mit dem Gefühl von Amunah und Betochen. So when we connect these people to the feeling of Amunah and Betochen, was bli Safek is tief eingewurzelt bei sie, which doubtless, without a doubt, is deeply rooted within them. This is the second time that I was saying. It's deeply rooted. It's there already. You have it. That's chapter 18 of Tanya, by the way. Brengt das sei Ruhigkeit. Again, you keep seeing how the Rebbe takes the spiritual concepts, but then takes it to an emotional conclusion. So it's always like, and then what? And if they'll believe this, if they'll have more Amunah and Betochen, and then what? And then what? So the Rebbe spells it out. Brengt das sei Ruhigkeit. It'll calm them, it'll bring them calm. It'll bring them calm. Calm is an important thing. It's important to be calm. You're not helping anyone by being stressed. Und helft sei durchgehend dem Balkorcha atochai Gesundheit und besser ausführen dem Tafkid, was jeder Mensch hat in Leben. And then when you're calm, because you know Hashem's in charge, then you'll better be able to endure the, in quotes, Balkorcha atochai, against your will you live. It's a Mishnah from Pirkei Avos. It means the soul doesn't want embodiment. The soul is afraid of being contained and limited and tested. It wants to stay in heaven. But when you have more faith and trust that you're really not in charge of your life, Hashem is in charge, then that makes it much easier to accept the embodiment, to go along with it, and to do it in a healthy way. Gesundheit, healthy. And to carry out the mission which every person was given in his life. So you want to talk about the personal responsibility. Here it is. We didn't get out of the personal responsibility. To the contrary, the Rebbe is not telling you lighten up and relax so that you don't do your tafkid. The Rebbe is saying lighten up and relax so that you can do your tafkid. Stop neurotically trying to control the uncontrollable. Relax a little, and then you'll actually be able to do what you were sent here for. Very profound. Selbstverständlich. It is self-understood. As zu jeder Sach und befragt in Inyonim welche seien verbunden mit Pnimius hanefesh. It's self-understood that everything, especially things connected with Pnimius hanefesh. What is Pnimius hanefesh? This subject matter is Pnimius hanefesh. The Rebbe is not talking about things, about objects. The Rebbe is talking about people, and not just people, but emotions, about the inner life, the inner experience of a human being. So when we speak about Pnimius hanefesh, about feelings, darf man haben asiyata d'shmaya. For sure, you have to have divine assistance. Und da helps schon schusaves. And for that, one of the ways to have a special divine assistance is if you have schusaves. Now, I'm assuming this woman has some type of schusaves and that she's aware of it, meaning she has some, well, you'll see from the next line, some relatives or parents or grandparents who distinguish themselves in a particular way, which will be apparent in the next line. Das, was mistammt von einer Mishpacha und seine Eltern, welche seine Gewinn durchgedrungen, durch und durch mit Amunah und Betochen. This, that you are descended from such a family and such parents who were permeated through and through with faith and trust. Was das wird sich seif kol seif abrufen of the kinder, which ultimately will have to come out in the children, summon the children, maybe more accurately translated. As sie sollen euch kommen dazu, that the children will also live up to this. Ich hoffe, als ihr werdet mir ansagen besuras Teves und verendigt mit dem Wunsch für ein Chag Kosher v'Sameach euch und alle eire. I hope that you're going to report good news, and I end with a wish for a kosher and happy Passover for you and yours. Bivracha shetivaser b'suras tevis b'karev, with a blessing that you should report good news very soon. And then the last line here, which to me, I mean, I'll tell you after I read it how I took it. Mir wollt interessiert zu wissen, wegen Zusammenstell von eurer Familie. It would be interesting to me to hear about the makeup of your family, which I suppose means like how many boys, how many girls, like ages. That's the last line. And that blew me away because, you know, there's an expression Chassidim use, bedas tachtoin. Bedas tachtoin means when you speak about a Rebbe, there are things that a Rebbe knows that we can't even imagine what they are. But then there's bedas tachtoin, meaning just from what we can understand, what we can grasp, setting aside all the Ruach HaKodesh stuff that we have no hasaga in. Bedas tachtoin, the Rebbe doesn't know this person well enough. And I said bedas tachtoin because the Rebbe doesn't know this person. The Rebbe is spending his time with himself by spending his time with this person, like I said earlier. So, as an Neshama Klalos, the Rebbe knows this person. But das tachtoin, the Rebbe doesn't even know this woman well enough to know who's in her family, and is devoting so much time and care to write such a letter on his birthday. That's remarkable. That blew me away. And then there was another thing which blew me away, which is maybe simpler, but even in a way more mind-blowing, which is that Rebbe would be interested to know about the makeup of her family. I would like to hear. Like, tell me about your family. Tell me about your personal life. You're talking about a person responsible for world Jewry, and he's telling this woman, yeah, if you want to send me letters and tell me about your personal life, tell me about your family, just give me some updates. I mean, that's like what your grandfather would tell you, right? If you ever feel like you want to just, tell me what's going on in your life, yeah, just pick up the phone, just call me. I would love to hear. And to me, that's what's so amazing about it. It's Yud Aleph Nissan, it's the Rebbe's personal Rosh Hashanah. It's the first year after the Rebbe accepted being Rebbe. The Rebbe has just informed Chassidim he wants them to choose whether or not they're ready to rededicate themselves to being his Chassidim. And the Rebbe reminds them, this is an ernste Sache, nicht kein Gelächter, this is a serious thing, it's not funny. And with all that like seriousness and that we're on a mission, and I should mention, by the way, speaking of we're on a mission, that day, Yud Aleph Nissan, was the first time that the Maimer of Basi Lagani, Tavshin Yud Aleph, was printed, and the Rebbe approved of the Sharblat, the title page that referred to him as Rebbe. So that was the first, when that happened. So on one hand, it's like we're on this mission, we're the seventh generation, we're bringing Mashiach, we have to bring the Shekhinah back, and at the same time, it's like some random woman, yeah, write to me about your family. I would be interested. I'd be interested in that. And to me, that's like what the Rebbe says, that the Eibishter's Beire Elam, the creator of the world, and also the Beire Elam Kotten Zeha Adam. And really, from the perspective of infinity, what's the difference? Infinity is not just that for which there's nothing too big. Infinity is also that for which nothing is too small. And every person is a world, and every person's story and whatever's going on in their life has infinite significance. And from a godly, infinite perspective, yeah, so even if you're the leader of world Jewry, you have all the time in the world to hear about somebody's personal life. It's not trivial, it's not small, it's massive, it's cosmic. Okay, so that's our letter, that's our siyum. Baruch Hashem. What we're going to do now, did everyone get a chance to enter the raffle?
No.
No? Okay, we're on the honor system. If you did not enter the raffle, please do so. Yeah, we're raffling off a complete set of Igros Kodesh.
Rabbi Taub, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So based on the letter where you said there's your top, like what our top is, and the things that are above you, what's the distinction? When is it mine to worry, when is it? And again, I know this letter, we don't know the details, et cetera, but.
Yeah, I mean, what we know is what the Rebbe said. You're asking, you know what you're saying? You're saying, what's the distinction between the things that are not my problem, the things that are my tafkid? Yeah. Right, so essentially the serenity prayer. Right? God grant me the wisdom to, the courage to change things I can, the serenity to accept the things I can't, the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, so what is the Rebbe saying here? That if you'll increase your amunah and betachin, you will start to intuitively know the difference. Okay.
He's also saying they have it already in their soul. They have to just
Right, and they have to tap into it.
how do we do that?
Okay. You have to learn chapter 18 of Tanya. Okay. All right, ladies, we're raffling off a whole set. Wait, I shouldn't pick it. Somebody else should pick it. What? Who else? Who wants to? Should I pick it? Okay, fine. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Let me just all fill it. All right. We're reading the winning ticket number for the complete set of Igros Kodesh, all 30 volumes. 3. Very good. I wanted to see if anyone would do that. 3, 2, 0, 1, 7. Who won it? 332017. Who won it? What? You won it? Okay. All right. I would say come up and get it, but it's not. It's in the trunk of my car. Okay. You'll tell me where to bring it tonight. We will deliver it to anywhere in Cambria Heights that you want. Okay. Now, Yisrael, are you ready? I'm done. Oh yeah, we're gonna. Oh, okay, yeah, we can. Thank you very much for joining us. Our first event in the SoulWords House. Okay, cut the live feed, and now we're gonna have a very special treat for you. Yeah, we're ready. Special treat.